staying on sounds difficult
Yeah.
because he's doing like a lot more work, 50% more work
50% is
for
crazy. Yeah.
10% more pay.
Yeah.
What kind of a promotion is that?
Hello and welcome back to our Ask Work It segment. If you have a question and you're struggling with it, you have no one to turn to, why not ask us and we might be able to help you out. For today, Gerald, we have a question that's come in from our listener, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jimmy says he was recently given a promotion at work, but it didn't really feel like one. After a company restructuring and staff cuts, he was made to take on many more responsibilities, including work from colleagues who left, or I guess have been made to leave. His workload went up by 50%, but his pay only increased by 10%. He was told that if he didn't accept this new role, they would just hire someone else to replace him. Now he's struggling to keep up, but quitting is not an option. Now he's asking how can he better manage this heavier workload?
My heart goes out to Jimmy.
Uh-huh.
Really, it
Yeah.
sounds like he's stuck. He's stuck like between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, because I mean, in this economy, can you really just give up a job just because they're not giving you more than 10% of an increment on your promotion?
Yeah, and I think even staying on sounds difficult
Yeah.
because he's doing like a lot more work, 50% more work
50% is
for
crazy. Yeah.
10% more pay.
Yeah.
What kind of a promotion is that?
Well, to be fair, I've heard a lot of stories similar to Jimmy's, right? And I've
Mm.
experienced somewhat similar of a situation
Tell
myself.
me.
Yeah, but well, for my situation, it was slightly different. I wanted a little bit of a promotion that the company was unable to pay,
Okay.
and I understood, but I wanted to do it for my own growth, for
Okay.
my own career.
So in your case, you asked for it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I understood what we were doing. So that's a different situation from Jimmy's. But I've also had friends who have gone, a few years in the current role, and when they were asked if they wanted to take on new responsibilities, and they said, "Oh, sure, I would do it for this amount," They've been told like, "Oh, sorry, the company can't afford that right now. We will do this for you on a probationary kind of system.
Mm-hmm.
You do the additional work for 6 months during this probation. If you perform well, we will give you the role and the promotion." But end up after the end of the 6 months, they just decided we're gonna hire someone else instead.
Oh no. Okay. Usually when we do see this probation kind of promotion, tryouts, if I use loosely, it's quite common actually. But really it's an opportunity to test. Let the person test whether they can fit the role, are they able to perform, and it's also sometimes it's a good opportunity for the person to decide whether they want it, because sometimes after trying it out they don't want.
Yeah.
So then they will decline. But if performance is an issue, usually the company will not want. But in your friend's case, it sounded like
I mean, she felt like she was just there as a placeholder while the company was looking for the person they really wanted in that role.
Okay.
So I think for her, it's a little bit more unfair.
Okay.
For Jimmy's situation, I'm wondering whether you think this is fair, because the company is giving him some form of an increment. It's just not the increment he expects or wants.
In the context here being that the company went through restructuring and people let go. So I believe that there were probably a lot of slack, a lot of work that needs to be tanked by somebody.
Yeah.
So I don't know, was that the reason why the company felt like, okay, Jimmy, can you take on all these extra duties and we're just going to give you a 10%? It might be like that. And if that's the case, right, then it really points to perhaps really very poor job sizing,
right,
from the company. And job sizing is how you develop a job description suitable for someone to take on. And sometimes if today we just like throw in loose bits of work, right, that nobody is doing anymore, and just ask someone to do it, it's not it doesn't help the employee to do the work well. You know what I mean? And at that level, even paying, I don't think there's any amount of money that you can pay that'll make it worthwhile, you see. It's not 10%, 50% more, even double the pay. Sometimes when the job is poorly scoped out, in a way where you feel like, the pieces of work I'm doing are not related, or the workload is just too heavy, it's just not worth it.
Really? Because I feel like I can imagine if I was offered double my pay, I would 100% take that. You can give me whatever role within the organization, you double my pay, I will just do it. I might burn out after a while, I don't know what you're giving me. But at the moment, you just say, "Oh, we will 2x." and you just do this, I won't even read what you're asking me to do. I will just take it first.
A lot of us, if we are at the situation, we want to try,
Uh-huh.
we want to push and see how far we can go. I think in Jimmy's case, it seems like he's struggling. When he struggles, he might be thinking about like, is it worth it, the amount, and maybe is the job even relevant to him anymore?
Yeah.
It may look very different from his original job scope. So I think if I'm Jimmy, right, I'll be thinking about, is it the money, the job, or my sanity that would be the most important lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's get to, he asked us a question.
Yeah.
How can he better manage this heavier workload? Do
Yeah.
you have some tips, I guess, some advice? Because I'm imagining his company is not flush with resources right now.
You're absolutely right when you say that the company probably doesn't have a lot of resources. So let's just assume that, let's say, the pay increment is not possible,
Yeah.
right? You can't get double the pay and
Yeah.
do everything they say, right? Then maybe Jimmy will have to look at the job scope and to find a way to talk to their boss about it. And this is a big one, right? Talking to your boss about your job scope. Take a good hard look at the entire job itself. Map out all the different duties and responsibilities and try to see there are areas where there are overlaps.
Okay.
Like some pieces of work are synergistic.
Yeah.
Or if today they have some overlap, you can kind of get some efficiency by doing them differently.
Right.
So Jimmy, after looking through his job scope, look for those overlapping areas, synergistic areas. If he can have the control to do something to change the work processes a little bit, to set some different ways of working so that those efficiencies can be achieved, then good. Then he can reduce his 50% to maybe like 30 or 20%. So more manageable, right?
Right.
Without having to talk to the boss.
Right.
Yeah.
But if he is the only person left in his department and everyone else was let go, a lot of the other people were reporting to different managers, and now he himself is reporting to, let's say 4 different bosses.
Oh man. Okay.
Right? So, and there's no synergy with anything that he's doing. It's just suddenly he has 150% of his previous workload, right? What can he do to make sure that he's not burning himself out?
Yeah. So really, again, looking back at what he's doing, taking the hard look, maybe looking at which pieces of work are more logical extensions of his original portfolio.
Okay.
And those are the ones that maybe you are more open to keep, right? But the really unrelated ones, you got to Jimmy has to find a way to deprioritize them, or rather even drop them if possible. And this will require that conversation with the boss. Like, you know what, I can't keep up, with this job scope. And these are the areas that I mapped out that maybe doesn't seem to quite fit in with the primary work that I'm doing. So if today your job is like filled with a lot of these different type of pieces where you have to kind of reset your mind and gear yourself out to restart the momentum to start another new piece of work, then there's a lot of inefficiency. So I think Jimmy got to let his boss know that, hey, look, it's taking a toll. It's not just that whether I can do the work or not, but it's not optimizing productivity.
Yeah.
And then in the name of productivity, can this be outsourced or deprioritized? Can the KPIs around this be reviewed? If he has multiple bosses, I think Jimmy will have to find out who is the boss.
Or
who's
the boss who's managing his performance reviews and all of that. Yeah.
Exactly. And truth be told, I've heard so many cases like this, and it's really, really a very tough situation. Just to find out who is the boss to listen to and get that boss to advocate for you, it's a big one.
Yeah. Because I can also imagine Jimmy's not the only one in the company who's experiencing this, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to come off as the only one complaining either.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
but
right.
Is there a space, or is it feasible for him to sit his multiple bosses down, his hypothetical multiple bosses down, and tell them, look, I am one person, I have 24 hours in a day, and I don't dedicate all of that to this job. In this 9 to 6 or whatever my work timing is, you guys need to figure out what I, as a resource, should be dedicated to. Is that a conversation that he can have with his bosses?
Theoretically, it sounds possible, right?
Yeah.
But I think practically it's quite difficult to do that.
Okay.
I think this is a conversation that you should divide and conquer.
Right. So you would say that he should kind of take on this divide and conquer himself rather than flag it to management.
If Jimmy is willing to walk away from the job, then yes, why not? But because you got to work with these people still.
I see.
And you know how the work relationship is. You might get what you want, but the people who are still there, they may have a certain impression, or they don't really like how you handled things.
Right.
And then it will make your working life a lot more miserable. So I feel like in Jimmy's case, try to work things out with the the direct boss, the direct manager, or the managers involved, divide and conquer, right? Approach each of them, explain, and then try to see what can be done to try to reduce the job scope. And if all else fails, right,
Mm.
all else fails, then Jimmy really has to decide whether is it the work or is it the sanity
Mm.
that he wants to hold on to, and not be afraid to walk away. You know, he has to have a line, a red line
Right.
that cannot be crossed. And if once that's crossed, then he got to be ready to walk away, lah.
Okay, but
Mm.
let's say he wants to stay, right?
Mm.
Because in nowhere in his letter to us did he say that he actually
Mm.
wants to leave, right? Which I mean, good for you, Jimmy. But like you're better than me. But let's say he wants to persevere. He manages this heavier workload, and eventually the market's turned. The company's doing better. I imagine he would want to be properly compensated. How can he have that conversation with either finance or HR or his boss to be like, look, I I slaved away, I hustled for X months or X years, and now I want to be compensated fairly, but also for all of the stuff that I did before and for all the stuff in the future.
Yeah, yeah. So
How can he frame that conversation with the people
yeah.
who would be making that
Yeah,
decision?
that's a great perspective because we were talking about how money, if money is a limitation, right?
Yeah.
So now assuming that in future you can have that as a growth point,
Mm.
then Jimmy should start right now to have the conversation ready to say that, you know what, now I know it's not scoped very fairly,
Right.
doesn't commensurate in the pay and the work scope, right? But if you know, if and when there's a performance and when things on the upturn, is it possible for me to have that pay
Mm.
increment?
Okay.
And it's totally okay throughout your employment, right, to ask for pay increment.
Right.
You just need to make sure that you are in the right position to ask for the pay increment, which means that you are contributing actively, you are a valued member of the team. You kind of work yourself indispensable
Mm-hmm.
in a way,
Yeah.
and people know about you, and then that becomes easier for your bosses, your HR to justify the pay increment for you.
Jimmy, I hope this was helpful for you. Um, whatever road you decide to take moving forward, I'm rooting for you. Me and Gerald are rooting for you. For everyone else listening or watching, if you have a question or if you're struggling with anything else, write to us. We are at cnapodcast@mediacorp.com.sg, and we would love to help you out with whatever you're dealing with in the workplace.
So I'm Gerald.
I'm Nat. And remember, don't let a promotion, quote unquote, cost you more than it pays.